The bedroom smelled of lavender and regret, the air thick with a silence that screamed louder than words ever could. I stood frozen in the doorway, my hand still gripping the knob, as Emily lay on the bed, her back to me, her voice a blade slicing through the quiet. "No intimacy tonight, Jack," she said, her tone flat, like she was reading a script she'd memorized years ago. It wasn't the words that stopped my heart. It was the way her shoulders stiffened, the way her fingers clutched the edge of the blanket, as if she were bracing for a storm I didn't yet see coming. I laughed, a reflex to mask the sting, and tossed my jacket onto the chair. "What's this, Em? Third time this week. You auditioning for a convent?" My voice carried a playful lilt, but it trembled at the edges, betraying the unease pooling in my gut. She didn't turn to face me. She didn't laugh. She just lay there, a statue carved from secrets. And I felt the first crack in the foundation of our 10-year marriage. The room was dimly lit, the glow of the bedside lamp casting long shadows across the hardwood floor. Our wedding photo hung above the dresser, a frozen moment of smiles and promises, but now it felt like a relic from a civilization long extinct. I crossed the room, my footsteps heavy, and sat on the edge of the bed. The mattress dipped under my weight, but Emily didn't stir. "Talk to me," I said, softer now, my hand hovering over her shoulder, afraid to touch her. "What's going on?" Her silence was a wall, and I was tired of knocking. I'd noticed the signs for months. Her late nights at the office, her phone always face down, the way her eyes darted away when I asked about her day. I'd chalked it up to stress, to her new promotion, to the grind of life wearing us thin. But tonight something shifted. The air felt wrong, like the moment before a lightning strike, charged and dangerous. "Emily," I said, my voice hardening. "If you're not going to talk, I'm not going to beg." I stood, my shadow looming over her, and the words spilled out before I could stop them. "If this is how it's going to be, maybe our marriage ends here." She flinched, her body jerking as if I'd struck her. Slowly she turned, her face pale in the lamplight, her green eyes wide with something I couldn't name. Fear, guilt, or both. "Jack, don't say that," she whispered, but her voice cracked, and I saw it then. The truth she'd been hiding, glinting like a blade in her gaze. "What's going on, Em?" I asked again, my heart pounding so loud I could barely hear my own words. "Don't lie to me. Not now." She sat up, pulling the blanket around her like armor. Her lips parted, then closed, as if she were weighing the cost of every syllable. "It's not what you think," she said finally, but her eyes wouldn't meet mine. They darted to the window, where the city lights blinked like distant stars, indifferent to our unraveling. "Then tell me what it is," I said, my voice low, a plea wrapped in anger. "Because I'm standing here, watching you slip away, and I don't even know why." She swallowed hard, her fingers twisting the edge of the blanket. "I've been seeing someone," she said, the words so soft they almost dissolved into the air. My breath caught, a sharp pain blooming in my chest, like a rib had snapped clean in two. I wanted to scream, to shake her, to demand names and dates and reasons, but my body betrayed me, rooting me to the spot. "Who?" The word came out rough, like gravel in my throat. "Does it matter?" she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's over now. It was a mistake." A mistake. The word echoed in my skull, hollow and mocking. I thought of the nights I'd waited up for her, the dinners gone cold, the way she'd smile at her phone when she thought I wasn't looking. A mistake didn't explain the way she'd pulled away from me, the way her touch had turned cold, like I was a stranger in her bed. "When?" I asked, my voice shaking. "How long?" She hesitated, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "A few months," she admitted. "It started after the conference in Chicago. I didn't mean for it to happen, Jack. I swear." Chicago. 4 months ago. I remembered her coming home, her suitcase wheels rattling on the floor, her smile too bright, her stories too vague. I'd believed her because I wanted to, because the alternative was a truth I couldn't face. But now, standing in our bedroom, the pieces clicked together like a puzzle I'd been too blind to solve. "Why?" I asked, the question tearing out of me. Was I not enough? Did I do something wrong? "No," she said quickly, reaching for my hand, but I pulled back, the space between us a chasm now. "It wasn't you. It was me. I was lost. Work was suffocating, and he made me feel seen. Seen. I spat, the word bitter on my tongue. I've been here, Emily. Every day, every night, trying to see you. And you were giving that to someone else. Her tears spilled over now, streaking down her cheeks, but they didn't soften me. They felt like a performance, a last-ditch effort to keep me from walking away. I ended it, she said, her voice breaking. I told him it was over last week. I chose you, Jack. I'm choosing you now. I laughed, a harsh, jagged sound that didn't feel like mine. You don't get to choose me now, I said. Not after this. Not after you lied, after you let someone else into our life. Jack, please, she begged, standing now, her hands outstretched. I love you. I made a mistake, but I love you. Love. The word felt like a lie, a cruel joke. I turned away, my eyes landing on the wedding photo again, on the younger versions of us, so sure of forever. I wanted to smash the frame, to shatter the illusion we'd built. Instead, I walked to the closet, grabbed a duffel bag, and started stuffing it with clothes. What are you doing? Emily's voice was shrill, panicked. I can't stay here, I said, not looking at her. Not tonight. Maybe not ever. Jack, don't, she sobbed, grabbing my arm. We can fix this. We can go to therapy, we can. Stop, I said, shaking her off. You don't get to decide what happens next. You lost that right when you chose him. The room spun, the walls closing in, the air too thick to breathe. I zipped the bag, slung it over my shoulder, and headed for the door. Her sobs followed me, each one a needle in my heart, but I didn't turn back. I couldn't. Not when every memory of us was now tainted, every touch a question, every promise a lie. As I stepped into the hallway, the front door looming ahead, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out, my hands trembling, and saw a text from an unknown number. Just 2 words. She's lying. My blood ran cold. I glanced back at the bedroom, where Emily stood in the doorway, her face streaked with tears, her eyes wide with fear. And in that moment I knew, this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of a deeper betrayal, one I hadn't yet uncovered, one that would haunt me long after I walked out that door.